Today we're holding Parshas Vayelech. This is one of the few years that we have Nitzavim and Vayelech are separated. It's a short parsha, and actually it's the first parsha of the year. Now we're in Aser Shemei Teshuvah. And Parshas Vayelech is talking about the last talk that Moshe Rabbeinu had with the Klal Yisrael, telling him, giving a tzavah, what's going to be in the future years. B'emes, it didn't start with his talk to the Klal Yisrael, only he talked to Yoshua. It says, he stood with you. וילך Moshe v'Yoshua v'yisyatzu ba'al moed. Moshe and Yoshua stood in the Al Moed, and Hashem came down b'mudonon and talked to them. And Hashem said, Vayomer Hashem al Moshe. It doesn't say v'el Yoshua. When Mistama the Pshat is that he talked to Moshe and Moshe gave it over to Yoshua. And he talked about what's going to be in the future generations. That means that Moshe Rabbeinu is saying, or Hashem is telling Moshe to say over, I'm leaving this world, and I'm leaving a Klal Yisrael, to be without a Moshe Rabbeinu, without the leader that was the real leader of Klal Yisrael. And he's saying what's going to happen is that we come home they're going to go after the avodah of the land, and it's going to come a time they're going to be rebbes v'tzoros. It's going to be. So you should remember that I warned you in the beginning that this is going to happen. This is what's going to happen. Afterwards, he was Mitzvah Yeshua to write it. The Vichtav Moshe, he wrote it all down. And Moshe Rabbeinu said, take this Sefer Torah and put it Mitzad Aram Bris Hashem. And the Torah should be an aid. The Torah should be a witness that I warned you what's going to happen. And he says, why, L'chura, these are the last words that Moshe Rabbeinu is saying to the Klal Yisrael, because the next parsha is Hazina, which is a shira. It's a different inyan, a different kind of talking. It's talking divrei shira. That needs a beer, a hesber, what that means. But diburim to Klal Yisrael, this is the last in Pasuk, and it's towards the end of the prayer. It's mamish the last. He says to the Klal Yisrael, Kianochi, you need an aid, you need a Sefer Torah to read out of it, that I warned you what's going to happen in future years. Why? Because you're rebellious. It's Meryecha, your rebelliousness, and your stubbornness. And where do we see it? He says, Hein bodeni chaim mochamayam mamri meyisim im Hashem vavki achrei Moshe. You were rebellious and against Hashem. But that's not what it says. Mamre Mayisim Im Hashem, he says. Vavki achrei Moshe, it's going to be that way. What does it mean? Mamre Mayisim Im Hashem. How could it be with Hashem and being rebellious in the same time? So, the truth is that I always ask this question. Every year I ask this question. And every year it bothered me. And when I landed B'tzibah with it always came to my mind, this question when I read this post, and I never thought about it. The truth is, but I just now saw last week in the Sefer Divrei Yoel.
Excuse me, Rabbi Caplan.
What?
at one point you just said you think about it every year, and now you say, I never thought about it.
No, it bothered me every year, but I never gave it deep thought.
Oh, excuse me.
So, yeah, right, you have to be medayik in my words. I didn't say it so clearly. But I should have given some time, some thought to it, but I never did. So Hashem was mazmin to me. It came to me. Min Hashemayim, I was looking in the Sefer Divrei Yoel, in the Satmar, and I saw that he says like this: Mamrim Yisem, you were rebellious. And what kind of rebelliousness did you have? Im Hashem, you used Yiddishkeit to rebel. You rebelled. You caused you did against Hashem's will with a frumkeit, with Torah, with mitzvahs. You used it. What's the classical example of that? It's hard to say it without an example. The Zionism is the most famous example of that. That Zionism used the mitzvah of Yishuv Eretz Yisrael, mamish, to rebel against Hashem. The whole mitzvah of Zionism is the use of the mitzvah of Yishuv Eretz Yisrael was only a cover-up to be okir Yiddishkeit, to uproot Yiddishkeit. That's what Gedolei Yisrael said, and I'm not so sure you need Gedolei Yisrael to say. I think it could be even that you could know it yourself, but the emphasis, what you need Gedolei Yisrael was to see it way in the beginning, 100 years ago, to see it. I don't know if we would have seen it then. But the pshat is the whole kavanah was to cut ourselves off, to cut off Klal Yisrael from the old derech, the mesoros of Torah that was given over from generation to generation, and start a new surah of a yid. And
Rabbi Caplan,
what?
Can I just say a word here to bring a Tanya to Messiah Lecha? You know that Rav Tzvi Hirsch Kalischer wrote the book Dirshas Tzion maybe 150 years ago, and he asked a haskama from a great Gaon, Rabbi Akiva Eger, who said they're going to use it to make a memshala and to revolt against Hashem and be over the Shalosh Shavuot. So
who used the Zionists?
No, they're going to use the mitzvah of Eretz Yisrael to do this.
So they use
Rabbi Akiva Eger, one second, he said this to Rav Tzvi Kalischer. So he said, no, Rabbi Akiva Eger, impossible. I write before us. We can't revolt against Hashem, and we can't use violence, and we can't use arms. And Rabbi Akiva Eger, 150, 160 years ago, whenever he did it, no, they're going to take this and they're going to expand it and revolt against Hashem with it, and revolt against the nations with it.
Yeah, but you have to know that what you're saying, Shalosh Shavuot, that's one thing. But what I'm saying, much more than that, because maybe in then it was like that, but now in later generations it was niskala, that it wasn't just to be over on a piece of Gemara in the end of Ksuvas. The whole thing was to uproot Klal Yisrael, create a new Klal Yisrael, a new way, and that's like it looks like. Seems to be that's much more than the Shalosh Shavuos, to create a new Klal Yisrael. Much worse than the Shalosh Shavuos, because the Shalosh Shavuos, we don't know if that's a halacha or if it's an agodu. If it's a agodu, so it's not something that we're mechiv to do. It's something. It's like a law in nature, like Reb Chaim Zimmerman explained. And it could very well be that that's a pshat in the Shalosh Shavuos. It's a law of nature that these things can't happen. But what I'm saying is much more than that. I'm saying that Zionism meant to create a new Klal Yisrael. And that's mamish the worst of the worst. And you see, a small example that comes to my mind. A certain rabbi, a person that calls himself rabbi that lives in Har Nof. read an article that he wrote in the Jerusalem Post, and he said, we don't have to wear hats and jackets anymore like we did in the Gola, what they call it. The truth is we're in the Gola right now here in Eretz Yisrael also. Because we're in a new that was only then you had to give cover that Torah by wearing a hat and jacket, but over here, no, you don't have to, because we're in our own country. The truth is that it's hard to say over the shtuyot, because it's hard to understand shtuyot. And this rabbi that his shul is on Rehov Chai Taib in Arnov, so he wrote that this new Jew in Eretz Yisrael doesn't have to go with the same way in the Golus that with covered money mechabdusay, to give covered with your levushim.
Daf Yomi this week, last week.
What?
Mani mechabdusi.
That's a going Shabbos. Where's it in the Daf?
I think in the Baba Kama.
So I'm saying like this. So what did he say? That now here that we are in Eretz Yisrael and we have our own Medina, so no such thing as covered, as covered with malbushim. Only we could go just with a shirt and go outside. Now, this rabbi does understand that when you go to the high court of the Rishoim Arurim, the biggest Rishoim that ever was in the Jewish nation, that sit over there, that they're mamish at war with Hashem, these people. When you go in front of these warriors against Hashem and you stand in front of them, you have to wear a jacket and a tie. That rabbi does understand. But like this regular covered of the person, of the Jew, of the Ben Odom, of the goof that has in it the chelik elokam mimad and neshama, that the Omid Lifnei Hashem doesn't require malbushim of covered. Standing in front of the wicked lochamim against Hashem, that they're sitting there in that building and trying to erase Torah and mitzvahs and make Chol Hagoyim. They are creating that situation. When you go in front of these wicked, evil people, you have to wear a hat and jacket, and that he understands. But Stam, he doesn't. But the Omid Lifnei Hashem and the cover that Torah, that he doesn't understand. That's all because he doesn't know that he's influenced from Zionism. And Zionism means taking a mitzvah of Yishuv Eretz Yisrael and Mamre Mayisem Im Hashem, taking that mitzvah of Yishuv Eretz Yisrael and using it to rebel against Hashem. That's what Moshe Rabbeinu saw way back then. He saw that that's what's going to happen. And he said, hey, but that there was such a thing as Mamre Meyisim Im Hashem, and it's going to happen later on also. And the truth is that it's not going to help too much to talk about other people, because we're that's not in our circles, and we don't have to worry from this terrible treifa goyish influence. We don't really have to worry about it, because that's not. But we have to stop and think a minute. Where do we have by us the Mamre Meyisamim Hashem, that we use Yiddishkeit to rebel against Hashem? And it's definitely, we also have it by us. And there are all kinds of situations in our life that we use Yiddishkeit, and I don't know, there's definitely a Ben Adam Lachaveru situation where we use Yiddishkeit to fight against the other person and to create machlokas. I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is a machlokas in a shul, which we see also closer to us. A machlokas in a shul. What's a shul? Why do we need a shul? We could daven at home. Only what? There's a place where the tzibur gets together.
Rabbi Caplan, we'll take a break right now. Thank you.